fellow Planeswalkers.
I'm James.
And I'm Paul.
And you're listening to the newest episode of the Commander at Arms podcast. This week on the podcast, we are talking about our experience thus far as Magic content creators with our ups and downs and our future goals. Now, I know this is kind of a continuation of last week's episode, but we didn't really get to talk about us so much as we did about the products and the roadmap for 2022. So now this is going to be a continuation of that episode about what we're going to be doing as Commander at Arms in 2022. So we're going to do our upkeep trigger here first, Paul, and we want to thank all of our patrons. You guys help keep the lights on here in the studios and help us pump out more content for your eyes and your ears. And hold on to that thought because we're going to be talking about a lot more of that stuff in the second half of this episode. If you want to be a patron and help support the show directly, you can do that at patreon.com/Commander at Arms. We have three patron tiers in there. Go and check them out, as well as some fun patron stuff coming up very, very shortly in the pipeline. Let's go into the next section here of our upkeep trigger, Paul. We have a mail day and interesting find. Did you find anything or buy anything interesting in the last week?
Not really. I do have I think I mentioned this last week, but I do have my the Stranger Things Secret Lair. I'm pretty sure is shipping this month if it hasn't already shipped. I'm hoping it's here in time for my birthday because I would love to be able to put that deck together for my birthday. But I'm not considering, or I'm not counting on that. So I don't really have anything new to contribute here. Hopefully you do.
So all I'm hearing is Magic Day birthday games, maybe?
Possibly.
Yes. I'll bring you something fancy that you can wear / or use while playing Magic.
Lovely.
Yeah, so last week I mentioned here in this little slot of our upkeep trigger that I did a massive buy list, and hey, guess what? I ordered the cards that I wanted to come in, but tracking says they're supposed to be here today, and they're not here. So I'm still going to mention it now and what I got. But I will also be posting pictures on our social media, our Twitter and our Instagram. So if you want to check those ones out, we are at CMDR at Arms on both platforms. I will be posting probably a small video of a little unboxing because it is, like I said, probably the most expensive package that I've ever spent in one transaction on Magic the Gathering product. But let's run down the list, shall we? I wanted a mana crypt because I have never had a mana crypt before, and let's not face it, they're still expensive, yes, and they're not as cheap as they used to be. I understand that. Are they going to get reprinted this year? Most likely, but god damn it, I wanted a freaking mana crypt. So I did the thing, and I went through my collection. The first card I got was a mana crypt from, I think I just picked up a list version because it was the cheapest, which, yeah, is a little how you going. I wanted a Sensei's Divining Top with Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty coming out this year, or we're getting spoilers for it in the next couple of weeks. I wanted something from original Kamigawa that I've never had before, so I picked up a Sensei's Divining Top. I also picked up an Ancient Tomb from Tempest. This will be my second copy of Ancient Tomb I've ever had. I did pull one out of a booster pack and didn't think it was all that fantastic. Back in the day, playing 60 card, 20 life kitchen table standard, I guess standard in quote unquotes. It wasn't that great. I think I may have traded it or lost it at some point. I was very young. So I'm going to get another copy of Ancient Tomb and I'm going to treasure that thing dearly. And then the last card I got was a 5th edition City of Brass. Because again, it's a Rainbow Land. Deals damage to you, yes, but I wanted it.
I know that City of Brass is one you've been looking for a long time, maybe even since we were playing at BAM, to be honest.
I have been, yes, and I found it for a decent price. Not as cheap as I wanted to, as I found a copy at Windows for a little bit cheaper. That's Windows Cards and Comics near us. It's your local game store, isn't it, Paul? Sure is. Closest one to me, at least. So, yeah, I love that place. Again, something we're going to be talking about later on in this episode. But, yeah, these are cards that I wanted that I knew were expensive and only ever going to go up in price. So if I pick them up now, I'm kind of just getting rid of the cards that were on my desk, just hanging out for the last year. And if I can push that into being commander cards, then I'm going to kind of do it. And that's what I did. So really happy and really excited to get those cards. I'm super pumped. I got home from the gym and I saw the mailman on the way out and I was like, yes, my Mana Crypt is in the mail. I will pick it up on my way home from the gym. I pulled into the spot. I opened up the letterbox and nothing. And I was like, God.
I know that feeling. Absolutely soul crushing.
Disappointed so much. Like the meme of Kevin Sorbo from Hercules doing the disappointed. Yeah, that was me, 100%. But I was like, damn, okay, maybe it will come out. Maybe it will be here tomorrow. I've got tracking. I've been looking at it and watching it every hour on the hour. Just like, where's my Mana Crypt, man? I want it. I want it so bad. So yeah, that's my mail day / interesting find this week. That was a long one, so we're gonna shorten it up a little bit here, and we do actually, in fact, have a brand new video on YouTube. So please go and check it out. It's youtube.com/Commander@Arms. It is a brand new deck tech that I've had teched for a little bit. It's a Ruth Tormented Prophet. I wanted an Izzet deck, and the wife's been telling me she wants a fun Izzet deck, and she loves casting spells and doing spell shenanigans on the stack and everything, because that's the kind of magic she wants to play. And I built a Storm deck around a Ruth Tormented Prophet. I did, in fact, poll Twitter and poll our Discord community, and this was one of the ones that came back more than anything else. So I was like, screw it. I will tech it because I have it sitting here and I'll do it. Why not? So go check that one out. It is a Ruth Tormented Prophet. You'll see it there. It's a brand new video. Go and like, subscribe, comment. Tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you don't like about it. I like hearing the negative feedback because it gives me something to better. I'm not going to know if you don't like something unless you comment it. So, I mean, if you say, hey, man, this is boring because X, Y, Z, cool. Awesome. I mean, I love hearing that because then I can change it and fix it for the next video and be like, all right, if they're not going to like this spice, let's turn it 180 and let's go down this avenue and see if they like this spice, you know?
Yeah, that's actually something that I try to point out a lot is like even in real life, I love when people give me, I like to call it negative criticism.
I like to call it constructive criticism.
Yeah, that's a more appropriate term. But often, more times than not, like when people are doing something wrong, they just might not know that they're doing it wrong, you know? And it's important to know the things that we can improve on. So, like even in our audio content and the podcast content, aside from the deck text, like just let us know. Is there something that you like, something that you didn't like? It's important to know what we should be capitalizing on and what we should be fixing.
Yeah, definitely. And this is 2022. This is a year of content. We're going to be getting so much more content out to you guys. So again, like we want to know what to strive for and what to kind of push for and what you guys like to see and what you guys don't like to see. And and we want to capitalize on that, not just for you, but for us as well. So we want to make sure that we're doing a good job and you guys like everything. But if you don't like it, just let us know because, you know, I love to hear that as well. And then after that, Paul, we have our play of the week. Do you have a play of the week?
So yesterday, I was actually playing Magic in person with my play group, and I was playing Atraxa. I basically had nothing. I had Atraxa out. It had 3+1/+1 counters on it, and I had Roalesque Apex Hybrid. It's a 4/5 flying trampoline. When it dies, it proliferate twice. Roalesque got. So I had 10 commander damage on me from a Rogue Rack that had Eldrazi Conscription on it. My Roalesque got exiled, and I was like, all right, well, all I have now is Atraxa, so I'm like basically not even a threat. No, actually, I think Atraxa got exiled. I can't really remember. But I was like literally not a threat at all. And then my friend John was like, for the memes, I guess, he was like, I'm gonna attack you. And I died to commander damage, and what was funny is that Rogue Rack basically killed two of us because of that Eldrazi Conscription. And my friend that was sitting next to me, Alex, he had a counterspell in his hand when he played it, but he let it go, and it literally killed both of us. And then the Dinosaur player wound up winning the whole game. Not even the Rogue Rack with Eldrazi Conscription. It was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
He won with an Entwined Savage Beating.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's not something you see every day at all. So I have a play of the week, Paul. and it involves you as well. And I hope you remember this game. And I was thinking you were going to bring it up, but I guess it's more of my play, even though you got to resolve your favorite card.
I think I know where this is going.
You know exactly where this is going. You so know. I mean, if you don't know where this is going, I'm going to remind you how good that game was for me. So I was playing Yarrick the Desecrated, playing against, I think it was a Catilda deck. Paul, I believe you were playing Geared. And there was one more player in the pod that I can't remember who they were playing.
I can't remember either.
I think it might have been...
I have the memory of a bird.
I can't remember. Sorry if I can't remember who played with us in this game, but I remember what I did and what you did, and that was what made it fantastic. So I proceeded on my turn to play Avenger of Zendikar to get 22 0-1s, and I think I buffed them once. That'd be like 2 3s or something, and was like, I was in a really good position. I had 11 treasures, not treasures. I had 11 clues on board because of Tireless Tracker, and I was feeling like a really good position as well because I had Field of the Dead with 7 different lands and getting 2 zombies for every land drop. So I felt fantastic. I was like, there is no way I'm losing this game whatsoever. Turns pass around, the Catilda player does some stuff, and then Paul's like, I'm going to resolve this card because it is my favorite card, and you guys played around this card perfectly without even knowing what it was. And what did you play, Paul?
That would be the Great Aurora, the 9 mana sorcery, 6 triple green, that says each player shuffles all permanents they own and their hand into their library, then draws that many cards, and then each player may put any number of lands from their hand onto the battlefield.
Yep.
And then you exile Great Aurora.
Yeah, and then you exile it, yeah. Because you can't, I mean, getting that effect again would be nutty. I did everything that Paul just said. I shuffled all my permanents, which included all my 22 plants and my 11 clues, and ended up drawing 56 cards and dropping 20 lands. One of those lands being Field of the Dead. And you bet your ass I had more than 7 lands. I had 7 lands with different names because that's how the deck is built. So here I am. I had 20... What was it? I had 20 0-1s. Sorry, I had 20 2-2s on the field. And I was like, feeling like hot shit, you know? I was like, yeah, this is it. This is how I win because no one else had anything else. It went to the next player's turn, and at their end step, I flashed into Fairy Mage of Zalfir, which has flash, gives all my creatures flash, and says your opponents can only play it at sorcery speed. And I went, okay, I feel even better. Tapped 7 mana, flashed out Avenger of Zendikar, was like, okay, cool. I got 2 fetch lands on the battlefield. I made 20 plants. So 20 0-1 plants, untapped, drew a card, which was a land. I think I then tapped my 7, played my commander, which was Yarrick, dropped my land, buffed my plants by +2/+2, cracked both of my fetch lands, plus them by +4/+4. So they were +6/+6 at this time. And then I Nature's Lord into another land, giving them another +2/+2. So there were 8 9s at this point. Proceeded to then just swing lethal at one player with all of that, and then enough at Paul and the third player to just win the game on the spot. And I felt so good.
Yeah, it's important to note also, that Teferi was actually significant because I purposely held up both Path to Exile and Source of Plowshares. And I would have been able to deal with the Avenger before the plants got their triggers for the counters.
Yeah.
But because Teferi was on the field,
which was funny because it was a card that I never even considered for the deck, but you added to the deck, and
I'm smart beyond my years, you know.
And it bit you in the butt, and I loved that. I thought it was hilarious. So that's my play of the week. Do you want to actually get into what this episode's all about, Paul? We've been recording for about 15 minutes, almost 16 minutes of us just waffling on about stuff that we haven't even gotten into the actual episode yet. So let's move to our main phase 1, and we're going to start talking about some of our experiences as content creators, being a part of the Commander-at-Arms team. So you actually came up with all of this. This whole script was all you. This episode idea was all you, Paul. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to you.
Yeah, so my inspiration behind this episode was like content creators share what they do in like bits and chunks, as far as I can tell, on like Twitter and other mediums and such. And I think to provide like a healthy outlet to inspire other content creators, maybe do the same thing. We should just take an episode and tell everybody like, hey, like I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are considering doing something like this. And I thought that this would be nice for them to have, to know that what they're going through is perfectly normal. So I want to start with the positives because I'm a positive person and I like to start on a high note. As far as positives go, James and I have been able to meet a ton of different people. Tons. Seriously. Like, we've been able to talk to people that live in places so far away that just wouldn't have been possible without being in content creation. Like we've spoken with Gavin, who's all the way out in California. We've played with people in the Midwest. We've played with people that live up north. It's crazy how many different types of people we've been able to communicate with and make content with.
We've also played with people who are like out of America as well. Like, we've played with people who is in Australia. I mean, that's not a big thing for me because I am from Australia. But I mean, we've been able to play with people in Japan as well, which I think was really, really fun and really cool. We played with Hoi MTG, who is a Japanese-based content creator. And that was so much fun to see it like come out with little Japanese subtitles. And I'm like, that's what I sound like in Japanese.
I forgot about that actually. Yeah, we played with Hoy a couple times. We've played with Vince Pleasant Kenobi,
who's across the pond and who's in UK.
Which actually brings me to my next point. We've had experiences that literally wouldn't have been possible without me and James putting ourselves out there. We did that charity event back in, I think that was October that we did that.
Yep. Yeah, we did Memories Journey on I think it was the 2nd of October. Where we got to raise, I think it was
Alzheimer's Association, I believe.
Yeah. It was for Alzheimer's. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was like 420. It was 4,206. It was like 420.69.
Yeah, it was $4,206.90, I think.
Yeah, 69 cents. Yeah, because we joked about trying to get it to a funny number, and all of us degenerates at 9:00 at night after streaming for like 12 hours, we're like, yeah, 420.69. That's hilarious. And I think it was like someone's parent who like gave us the last like 69 cents so we could all just go to bed. Because that ended up actually being like a 16 hour stream by the end of it, because we kept pushing it back a little bit. Because we kept raising money for it. And that was that was one of the coolest experiences and most humbling experiences that I've ever had as a content creator, is being able to bring all of these, quote unquote, famous people together, and just play cards with them, play Magic with them. Like I got to play against Gavin Verhey, with, a commander product that, he may or may not have helped design. So, I mean, like, there's cards in there he was like, oh, that was a cool card to play, like, oh, that was really cool. And I mean, I didn't have the deck to begin with because I borrowed it from Paul, because, I didn't exactly buy any of the Strixhaven commanders. But I mean, that was really cool because we also had, it was myself, Gavin.
Rebel was there.
And that's one I couldn't remember. And Rebel and Mike from the Deck Tuners. So, yeah, I mean, and that never would have happened, which also branched us into like meeting and getting to play with other people. Like, I mean, you got to play with Toma, which was really cool.
That was a literal dream come true. That was a personal goal of mine.
So yeah, there was Callahan from the Mind Sculptors. We had Mitch from Commander's Quarters on here. I never thought in a million years I'd ever be in an event that Mitch was going to be a part of, and to be able to invite them onto something that we had actually hosted was a really cool experience to have, because it's not only did we put ourselves out there to random people, but we put ourselves out there to people that other people know in the community and go, oh, I know that name. And it was like, yeah, we just emailed them. It was like, hey, we're doing this thing for charity. Would you like to come on? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And I think as soon as I messaged Gavin about it, he was like, tell me the date, tell me when, and I will be there 100%. I was like, bro, you are a bro. Which actually, funnily enough, I just emailed Gavin the other day and I was like, hey, do you want to come back on the show? And spoiler alert, Gavin is most likely coming back on the show.
Yeah,
So,
that's going to be exciting. I don't want to say what we're going to be talking about. I want to leave at least that much up in the air. But
definitely.
is,
but spoiler
something-
alert, Gavin is coming back and I'm really excited to have him back.
Anyway, yeah, that was a great experience. Just the overall communication with a bunch of different people in and of itself as an experience has been amazing. You know, there's a lot of people that play Magic, and having the game as a medium to communicate with other people has been truly like really, really cool and very helpful.
And I feel like these are people that we probably never would have talked to or engaged with if we didn't play Magic. Because it was like, it's that surrealist, like, I don't know, it's just, I don't know how to formulate the sentence, but it's like, it's so surreal to be able to like see these people on YouTube. So like, say Dylan and Cam from Play to Win, watching their videos while I was meant to be quote unquote working. And then like the next day have them in Discord with us and be like, hey man, what's up? Oh, you know, not much. And just have a generalized conversation with them like they're just normal human beings. Because I mean, we are all just normal human beings and everything. But I mean, like just the I'm watching this, you know, these content creators, and you know, like it's that you always see that mentality of a podcast where it's like I always see this meme all around these podcasts, like in these groups that I'm in for not just Magic content, but like I actually admin a fan group for another unrelated specific podcast. And just seeing the memes on there where it's like you listen to a podcast in the mirror with the headphones on, laughing at the jokes like you're a part of it kind of thing. And to go from that idea of like, you know, you laughing at their jokes and they're not even knowing that you're around, to then being able to like, oh, you're in the same room, I get to talk to you and interact with you. And not only that, but I get to play the game that we both love together at the same time.
But like even all of that aside, even if there was like nobody that we were talking to or anything like that, it's just nice to be able to have an outlet or like a void that we can just, you know, no matter how good or bad our ideas are, have a place to just shout them into existence, you know?
Yeah.
Words are like amongst ourselves, they're just words, but being able to share them with other people and have people shout back at us their own, you know, creative ideas has been a really cool experience. It's honestly helped me out. Like I've added cards to decks that I didn't even know existed just because like I guess what's the term kids use these days? Manifest?
Yeah.
We manifested a community, I suppose.
I mean, I feel like you and I have manifested a community around actual like other content creators, as much as we have also manifested our own small little following and community.
Fair enough. But what I mean is like, so here's an example off the top of my head. In my Gira deck, I would not have added or noticed the Harmonic Prodigy. Is that its name?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that doubles the abilities of shamans, I think, and wizards.
Yes, shamans and other wizards, because it is also a human wizard.
Yeah. I would not have thought to put that in that deck if somebody had not come on our Discord and say, hey, loved your Gira deck. Why don't you play this card? And I was like,
yeah,
I didn't even know it existed, or I didn't know it worked like that. So
I was also the same. I think I looked at it because I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, okay, like that wizards and shamans, that's cool, bro. Like I don't know why you'd be playing it. And then I looked at Gearhead for the first. It's like I looked at it for the first time, you know, and it says human shaman, and my brain went, wow.
You know what's funny is because of that, I actually added Timeless Witness into the deck as well, because it is a shaman.
It's a human shaman.
It is a shaman, and it also has Eternalize, so you can make a token of it and populate it with Geared.
I also have that card in my deck, but for other completely different reasons.
Well, my
I didn't even know that was a thing.
My point is that because of that one seemingly innocuous comment from our Discord, I reworked like basically a decent package of the deck, a decent chunk of it.
And that is so cool that we get to do that. Like that gets to happen, you know. Like we get to sit here behind microphones and talk and do these episodes for everybody, but at the end of the day, it's the interaction with the community that we we do love so much. And that's why we keep saying it at the end of every episode. Paul keeps thanking everyone in the community just to share our names out there, because the more people that hear us, not only do we get to, people get to hear us more, but they also get to give us their suggestions on what we can do. Because I mean, like, magic is infinite. There is no finite. Like, there is always going to be better cards for things and better cards for like possible slots in decks and rada and yada 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 kind of thing. But like, getting people's opinions on our decks and how we can make them better, so that we can then in turn build not unquote better decks, but like better synergistic decks to then put out for you guys to listen and be like, hey, check this out. Like, we got this idea from this person and this is the deck that we built out of it. Like, check this out. Like, we get to kind of promote the community's ideas as well. So this is an outlet not just for us, but for our community as well, without saying as well too many more times in a sentence.
I guess as the last part of one of the ups of doing this, or the positives, and this one's a little more superficial than the rest, but it's important to note nonetheless. It's just a good conversation piece. There's a lot that goes into making a podcast, and sometimes people think that's pretty cool. So, I've definitely been in conversations where I mention, yeah, blah, 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 blah. I'm also like part of a podcast, talk about Magic the Gathering, and, that's not something that you exactly hear very often. And, especially when I used to teach, my students usually thought that was pretty cool. I never, of course, told them what the name of my podcast was, because I didn't need them following me, although I think a couple may have found me over the years. But it's still, it's something that you can talk about for a while before you run out of things to talk about. Me and James this will be our 81st episode. So, that's about, I would say if I talked for like 24 hours straight, I still would not be done talking about everything that we've mentioned on this podcast. I mean, we started with companions, or not even companions. We started with Mutate and companions. That was what our first episode was.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think we've said this before, but we started this because we had our own play group who couldn't understand companion or mutate properly. And we were like, there's probably lots of people out there who don't understand how companion and mutate works. Why don't we just record it? We were on the down from a D&D podcast. We decided we have the microphones, we have the technology, we have the software. Let's just sit behind a microphone and see what happens. And now we did it.
I will say I now have a much better microphone than I did back then, which, is
a hashtag subtle brag there, Paul.
A little bit. I guess the main reason I'm mentioning that is because, like I said, I'm doing this to maybe inspire other content creators to do the same thing, or if there's any aspiring content creators out there, you don't need to start off with the best.
Nah, $30 Blue Yeti from Best Buy will do it. Just as long as it's
exactly what I started with.
Yeah, I mean, you did, and it's great. I mean, I have a Blue Yeti here. I recorded some of these episodes with a Blue Yeti, or a Snowball, sorry. And I'm still using the same microphone as I started with. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, if you want to start content, just do it. I mean, I don't see an issue with it. Just get in there and do it. It is a lot of work. It does take a lot of time and prep, but just do it. Which is actually a good segue here.
It's a good segue into the negatives of content creation. And the negatives can depend a lot on what kind of content you're doing. There's video content. Me and James, at least currently, we'll get into that a little bit later, are doing audio-only content. So we'll be speaking from a purely audio perspective for now. But like James mentioned, it's actually, and I guess actually I didn't even ask James about his opinion about this, but for me, this is a lot harder than I had originally anticipated. Like, when we started, I thought, and this actually how it was at first, is I thought it was going to be me and James. We sit down, we shoot the crap for a while, and bada bing, bada boom, we have an episode. But there is a lot of time that goes into background stuff, not even just like editing, like just coming up with the topic, having enough, or conjuring up enough like things to talk about for that topic. I don't know if we've ever mentioned this specifically, but me and James often take sometimes we take a few days to come up with a topic and come up with enough talking points about it. And at a bare minimum, it takes us like an hour or two before we do the episode to come up with a topic and talking points about it.
And I mean, like, I feel that you and I, we do like it's as much as we do, I feel like we still do a lot less than most likely other content creators that they do. Because I mean, like, there are people who write full on word for word scripts, and we don't do that. We kind of just do plot. We just do like pot. Wow, I can't even talk.
Plot points. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, we just do like bullet holes. I'm going to change the word completely. We just do like talking points where we're like, oh, this is the thing we want to hit. Oh, this is another thing we want to hit. And then kind of steering the conversation to this next point. And like, oh, this, whenever you say it's like, oh, this is a good segue because this is where we've kind of gotten to in our script of our talking points. I mean, like, oh, this is right where the conversation is. Let's kind of go to this talking point because, I mean, let's be honest, I'm not really good at, if I sat here and actually read a script, I would be like super robotic and it wouldn't be fun to listen to because there's no like, it's not organic at all. Like there would be no organic features to it all. It'd just be like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I'm going to say. And I think Paul and I, we've done an episode kind of like that where we read off a script and it came off a little bit, it felt to me like it was a little bit in the box and I wasn't a fan of it. I like just getting behind here and just kind of like talking and just saying whatever I want within reason.
I think I know exactly what episode it was.
Yeah, I think it was our rules episode, and we kind of like plotted out, all right, I'm going to say this, and you're going to say this, and then I'm going to say this, and all my pieces were highlighted, so I knew exactly what part of the script I needed to read when you read yours, and yeah, I mean, because we were talking about rules and interactions and very, very difficult things to articulate over audio only, like the stack, I wanted to make sure that we were kind of presenting that episode in a way that it was going to make sense for us and make sense for you as the listener, because it is a very complicated thing to kind of talk about, but it is a very necessary part of the game to understand as well.
Something else that has contributed a lot towards the difficulty of doing this is me and James are accommodating each other, two different people, and we both have constantly shifting schedules. James, I don't know if everybody out there knows that, but he has a business that he runs with his wife, and shows pop up, somewhat sporadically. So it's difficult for him to know, what nights works for him. There are nights that we've gotten on to record, and he's been like, "Sorry, dude, we got to do another night."
I think that's happened like once or twice.
There have been nights. Well, we've only been doing the Monday night thing for a few weeks anyway, so
yeah.
Like I've switched jobs. I now have 2 jobs, so it's been pretty difficult. And I think it's important to note that the more moving parts you have for something, the more difficult it is going to be. So I would say don't go into it thinking that it's going to be something that you just sit down and do. At least not if you plan on, taking it somewhat seriously. Obviously, if you're just doing it casually, maybe whatever. But also don't think that the way that me and James do things are the way that you have to do things. Like James said, that we don't go by a script, but there's nothing wrong with you want a script, literally. Me and James just prefer to let the magic flow naturally, literally.
Nice pun.
Thanks. I actually was not trying to force that one. It just happened, and I realized as I was saying it that it did. Another difficult part about having a podcast about magic specifically, realistically speaking, some of your topics are going to be on a deadline. Like Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty comes out, I think, in the second week of February, something like that. Basically, if me and James don't do content about that set in the coming weeks, we can't do content on it. It's just, it's kind of old by then. And that's just the nature of magic, Like if me and James did an episode next week about Ravnica City of Guilds, that set came out over a decade ago, I'm pretty sure. Nobody's really going to be interested in that, right?
Well, it's not that. I think it's like there's no talking points there. It's like, and this kind of leads into like the next real part of the talking point that you had here, Paul, is like it's hard to kind of like stand out in a crowd and kind of being like, hey, we should be the ones you're listening to, because obviously there is a lot of Commander content out there, and which is totally fine because we're all people with the voice, and like there is nothing wrong with Commander content whatsoever. Or having an abundance of Commander content, because I mean, like you said, like the more we have, the better off it can be. But also trying to find interesting takes on a set can be kind of difficult, because you don't want to just do the same thing that everyone else is doing. You don't want to be like, oh, here's a set review. These are the cards that you should be playing. These are the cards you shouldn't be playing. Yeah, we do those episodes, but that's because, like, one, we think that people are going to be able to listen to that and kind of digest that. I think we've done like top 10s of like underrated cards, because they're cards that we haven't seen people talk about, and been like, why are we not talking about X card or Y card? I think there was a couple cards in Crimson Vow that we talked about, which is like, that is a card that when I was opening packs, I was like, this is a card that I got in foil. I'm going to keep this one aside. It was a white and black removal spell that we thought everyone should be playing. And I can't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head right this second.
I can't remember either, but this is also why when we do those lists, I try to incorporate some amount of like commons and uncommons, is because those are the things that people don't necessarily pay that much attention to, right?
Yeah. So like this episode was going to be an episode about Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty, as we're kind of spitballing ideas for episodes. And I kind of went into Mythic spoilers, and every single card that was there, I have seen all over Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. I have seen it everywhere, Reddit as well. And I said to Paul, I'm like, as I was spitballing this idea in my head, I wasn't excited about it. I didn't feel I need to talk about this kind of feeling like I did with this episode. So we scrapped it. And I think that was probably a good idea, because it would have just been another bland episode that everybody's seen, the new Planeswalker. Everybody's seen the new Dimir Commander. I forget the name of the card at the moment.
Satoru Umezawa?
Yeah.
Something like that? I can't remember.
Something like that. I mean, again, we haven't exactly deep dive into that set yet, just due to the fact that we aren't there yet as content creators. Because, I mean, there is so much to take in when a set is being released, that it takes a little bit to kind of sink all that information in and remember what came out of what set, because everything just comes out so fast. And that is another thing that we're going to hit on right now, is like, yeah, the deadlines is crucial. And for me, I wouldn't say this is a down at all, 100%, but I took over the main editing of the episodes, and that required a lot of learning to do. I was up late watching YouTube videos and trying to figure out how to do it, and logistically, and like, how does this work? How do I do this in my head? It's something that I've always wanted to do as a radio show. I've always wanted to get into radio and talk back radio kind of thing. And this was an outlet that I could do that in, and just learning audio in itself. So I kind of took that as a challenge to not only like better our content, but better myself, and try to use this as a learning experience that I could take into somewhere else. And if another content creator needed like help with something, I know that they could DM me on any platform and ask questions. And if I can answer them, I will. If I can't, I'm going to point them in the right direction to find that answer. And that's kind of just, where I went with it. So like, we used to have someone who was editing these episodes for us. And I just was one day, I'm like, I couldn't do it anymore. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll learn it. I'll figure it out. And, I've been editing ever since, I think episode 20, 24.
Somewhere around there. I think so.
Yeah. Something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a long, fun ride, to kind of, help me be able to stay in the game, and also like the love for the game.
Last thing I want to say here, and again, this one is because we are on the audio, but it seems like video content is preferred by quite a large margin. There's really not much else to say about that one, and this is actually something that we're going to touch on after our combat phase here. Yeah,
so what we're going to do is we're going to pass through our combat phase now, and we're going to hear a message from our sponsors right now. Welcome back from that ad break. We're going to get into our main phase 2 here, where we talk about our future goals and what we want to get into for 2022. So again, I'm going to pass the mic over to you, Paul, and you're going to tell us what our goals are.
So James and I have always had the goal of just improving people's experiences in the game overall. That is, of course, something that it just happens naturally over time, hopefully, at least. But outside of that, goals with our actual content, James and I have always wanted to do video content. We've been talking about it basically since the inception of the podcast. And I know we've mentioned it a lot without any concrete plans, but James and I actually do have a pretty solid lead on this. We may be streaming, and I'm not even going to say maybe. I'm going to say we will be streaming probably by next month. We have a plan in place. We have a meeting about this on Wednesday to figure out the logistics. But
So
it
the
is
day
something that will
before-
be happening in the near
Yeah,
future.
so to be the day before you guys are listening to this, we have a meeting set up that's going to help us with a stream team that it's going to basically help us get into the streaming verse of Magic, because this is something that has come up, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, Paul, or anything.
Yeah, you're good.
This is something that comes up all the time whenever we are a guest on a stream or we talk about our content, about being a podcast. They're like, oh, what about YouTube and streaming and all, and like Twitch and like Facebook gaming and YouTube gaming? Like, what about all these different avenues? And I'm going, damn, this is being talked about a lot. Okay, well, what is a way that we can do this logistically? Because I mean, every fan of this show knows Paul has the hardware and no internet, and I have the internet and no hardware. So we found a third-party stream team that's going to help us set up our streams, run our back of house for us. Regarding they say yes, so let's hope and pray and fingers crossed that happened. If so, woo, this happened, Paul. Yeah, we had the meeting and it all went well. It didn't go so well. We don't know yet. But that's the fun of post and pre-editing, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so we will have streamed VODs up on our Twitch page. I think they stay up for like the day after and hang out for a little bit. And then I will eventually be dipping my toes into video editing of those gameplay videos. So I am not a video editing expert. I do have a couple of friends who, when I say a couple of friends, I mean like one main friend, and that's Corey from the Commander Crew, who is quote unquote professional. I will say he's professional because he's professionally damn good at it. Who I'm hoping, again, I don't know the answer to this one because I haven't even asked yet, who will be able to give me some tips, hints, tricks on how to get those edited faster and more clean, so they have, you know, a specific level of Commander-at-Arms quality seal of approval on it, so we're not going out and just, you know, looking like trash.
He's also our most loyal fan.
He is 100%. But yeah, I mean, we've been saying it and everything, and I think it's about time that we kind of put that plan into action. And I'm excited to start streaming because the stream that we did do for Memory's Journey, I loved hosting so much. I loved the interaction with the Twitch chat. I loved the interaction with the guests. I loved being able to say, hey, guess what? We got this donation, and everybody's just, yeah, happening. You know, like everyone's congratulating and everything. And it was just such a good feeling that I wish and I hope that we can build up that on our own brand and we can really push streaming content out to you. Because then we can really start, you know, doing what we preach. You know, we say do all these Rule Zero conversations and everything, but I don't think you guys ever see us doing them. So this will be a place where we get to actually do what we preach, and we can do our Rule Zero talks. We can show you how much interaction we play in our decks, how we threat assess everything, how we break down a turn in our games, and just generally have fun, sling spells, and smash face with our friends.
And it, of course, means that we're going to be looking for some cool guests. We already have like a decent lineup of potential participants. Hopefully we can get some like some of the biggest people in Magic on with us as well. Ideally, we're looking currently, and these are some real stretch goals. Uh,
Stretch, like Stretch Armstrong stretch, like to the
yeah.
max.
We'd love to play with the professor. We'd love to get Aaron Hansen / Ego Raptor on. And the biggest stretch goal, we'd love it if we could get Mark Rosewater on with us. That one is might be a pipe dream, but dream big, and then if you shoot for the moon, you land among the stars, something like that. I don't know.
Hey man, we aimed at getting Gavin on the show, and we did that by episode 24. I think that
Is
was
episode 24 exactly.
Yeah. So if anyone new is listening to this episode, please go check that one out, because we do talk to Gavin Verhey about Commander Legends set before it came out and what he was up to and his set designing. And this is all pre Good Morning Magic as well. So before he even had a YouTube channel, we talked to him. So yeah, it's going to be really fun to be able to talk to him post Good Morning Magic. So yeah. And then a little bit after that, this is more of a we can't wait to get back into this space, because I've never done it before, but that's like attending more in-person events like GP Vegas that happened. And I really wish we could have gone and we could have made it, but unfortunately our funds are a little bit tight. And we weren't actually able to get out there. Being on the East Coast and it happening in Vegas was a little bit hard to get out there too. Not like we can really drive and be back within a day. Probably takes a good, day and a half to get out there.
If you don't like sleep, maybe might take a while.
Well, I mean, there's two of us. You drive for the first 24 hours. I drive for the second 24 hours. No breaks. Don't stop. Don't eat. Don't nothing. Just get there and crash for the next 3 days. Miss the event. Come home. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, totally worth it, man.
We'll be like, we were at Vegas. Then you take a selfie to be like, we're at Vegas, and then just go to the hotel room and crash out.
But yeah, we would love to attend. We've never attended an in-person event as content creators before. I have been myself to a couple of GPs / Magic Fests, just as Paul the dude. Never had a brand before, so that would be cool to do when it's reasonable to do so. Obviously, with like with COVID / financial responsibility. So when it's reasonable to do so, I'd love to make it out to GP Vegas. It's been something I've wanted to do for even well before content creation days. I've just wanted to do that for a long time now. I'd love to get to a Magic Fest or a Command Fest, like here in Florida. For anybody that didn't know, actually, before this pandemic started, back in 2019, there was supposed to be a Magic Fest in Palm Beach that me and my friends were planning on going to. I think, actually, James, were you not planning to go to that as well? I can't remember.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
We were all playing, it was like the BAM crew was supposed to hire a van and like drive to Palm Beach and book an Airbnb for the weekend. And that didn't happen
sick
because of COVID. It would have been a fantastic way to start the podcast, but unfortunately that didn't happen. I've never attended a in-person Magic event ever. They didn't really have them in Australia, and if we did have them in Australia, like the big GPs, they were in Melbourne and South Australia. So it's like that was at least a good 2-day drive from where I lived in New South Wales. Because Australia is massive, but we can only live on about 99.9% of it because the middle of it is all freaking desert and death. But yeah, so I never really got to get in any events that way. And it'd be cool to be able to like, hey, I'm James from Commander at Arms. I can wear my Commander at Arms shirt. I can wear my 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 monogrammed Commander at Arms jumper, or I guess you guys call them sweatshirts over here, or sweaters, I think they're called over here.
Yeah, maybe we could even get like pins made that we could give out while we're there. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, at any rate, like any way to be able to play Magic in person, I think would be really rad to do so as James from Commander at Arms and Paul from, Commander at Arms. And just, that's going to be like a big way of getting our name out there as well. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I have a new playmat made up. This is Commander at Arms on it. It's got a little QR code on it, like people can scan and, get to all of our socials and everything, which I think is really, really cool. And we get to, not only that, but I would love to be able to get back into playing at our LGS And I think if you think recording is like to schedule is a hassle, try and organize a group of friends to play it on LGS a week, like once a week. It was not a nightmare, but it was kind of difficult.
Yeah, I'm hoping because well, we've mentioned this before, but me and James started playing at Books a Million down by us, or I guess it's actually a little further away from me now. But we'd love to be able to get back to that. Obviously, like I said, when it's reasonable to do so, financially and responsibly.
Yeah, I also know in the ways of like in-person events and traveling. On that note, I know my wife had a pretty good idea for me and her, or her and I, sorry, to travel a bit more so I can see more of America, because I've been here for a while now and I've really seen Florida and a little bit of Georgia and a little bit of South Carolina, and I would like to see more. So we do have that coming up, which is going to require a lot of like communication between me and Paul and my wife and some content creators in every single state in America. So teaser, that's going to be happening between 2022 and 2023. So keep an eye out, keep an ear out. If you want to be a part of that or anything else, just jump on the Twitter at CMDR at Arms. But again, with that, Paul, did you have anything you wanted to add at the end there as a future goal for us at the Commander at Arms team?
For right now, no, except if there's any content creators, or even if you're not a content creator, if you're in Florida and you find yourself, we live in Central Florida, so if you find yourself around like the Orlando area or something, let me and James know. Let James and I know. There we go. And we're always happy to meet up. And if you're a content creator, if you want to collab with us in person, that's cool. If you're not a content creator, you just want to jam a game, also cool. Let us know the time, the place, and me and James will do our darndest to make that work.
And the best way you can find us, and this kind of segues into our end step, the best way you're going to be able to find us and get at us is on Twitter or Instagram at CMDR at Arms. We also have an email address as well, which works, which is commanderatarmspod@gmail.com. Just DM us and we will figure out the details and go from there. If you want to check out this episode on YouTube, or if you want to look at our deck techs, our unboxings and everything, do that at youtube.com/commanderatarms. Don't forget to go and check out the Eruth Tormented Prophet Is It Storm deck, because is it? I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know what I built anymore. It's been a day. I slept since then. If you want to buy cards online, get them shipped to your house super quick, support your LGS and give us a kickback at the same time, you can do that through tcgplayer.com/commanderatarms, which is our TCG affiliate link. If you want to get a Commander at Arms t-shirt or any other merch from us, you can do it. In the show notes below, there'll be a link that takes you to the Etsy page of Bad Fred Design Co. Go and check them out as well. They have really awesome wooden deck boxes, and I have like 6 of them on my desk right now. I absolutely love them. If you want to support the show directly, you can do that at patreon.com/commanderatarms. Again, we've got 3 tiers. Everyone gets access to the Discord server where we get to play games on Spell Table, and that is where we're going to be streaming our games for our stream games once a week. So if you want to be a part of that, just jump on the Patreon, sub to us at one of our tiers, and go from there. And Paul, is there anything that you wanted to say to the listeners before we leave for the week?
Absolutely. Now more than ever, as we basically recap the past year and a half of content creation that we've done, I want to thank everybody for listening, even if you've only listened for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 30 seconds, whatever time you could have done something else with, but you instead chose to listen to us. We appreciate it, and we thank you truly from the bottom of our hearts. If you enjoyed what you heard, please feel free to share our name around with your friends at your LGS, heck, even with your family if they're into Magic or anything card game related. Let them know, like, even if they like Hearthstone, because most card games have some similarities between them. Let them know, hey, I just listened to these guys, Paul and James, talk about some stuff that they're going to be doing coming up, and they're going to be doing some video content, and just get our name out there. And you yourself listening, please feel free to take advantage of all the ways that you have to reach us, because we do have a lot. We got Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Please feel free to take advantage of all of those. We love to hear from people, whether it's negative or positive, or anything in between. Please reach out.
And with that, I'm James.
And I'm Paul.
And you've been listening to the newest episode of the Commander at Arms podcast. And remember, arm yourself with knowledge. Peace.
See ya.